Single guys, dating and premarital sex, talking about mental leadership, thinking ahead. If you're dating a girl and you're sleeping with her, you're not showing good leadership. You're not thinking. First of all, you're in disobedience to God. And if that disobedience is what you're going to do now, what are you going to do after you get married? You're going to still be disobedient. Yeah. Number two, it undermines the trust in that relationship when you get married. Do you realize that 90% of the marital problems I deal with in my office, 90% of their root issues are trust? See, if you're going to say, I'll sleep with you before you're married and you're a Christian, how do I know that you're not going to do that after we get married? I mean, your relationship with God wasn't enough to hold you now. And so you're disobeying God, you're showing a lack of integrity, you are breaking down the trust inside that relationship. What kind of leadership is that? I need a guy that is sold out to God that's going to marry my daughter. Amen. Now listen, I know how tough it can be. Sex is pleasurable. It's meant to be pleasurable. God invented sex. That's one of the first things I tell people at the seminar. Sex is a God thing. But remember that it's a God thing, and God invented it with a purpose inside the marriage for two people to birth children and to have fun. But outside of a marriage, it is abusing someone. It's taking advantage. It's a lack of self-control. So you, sir, single, sleeping with that woman is showing me a lack of leadership. Lack of leadership. Disobedient to God, lack of discipline, you're short-sighted. So if I asked you today, men, married men and single men, one thing in your life, now I want you to write this down, and then you'll talk about it with your partner. One thing in your life right now that's got to go. One thing, write it down. What is it? Right now, got to go. It's imperative. One thing in your life, you know what? I got to get rid of this. It's in my life. Imperative. Next thing, what's one thing you're proud of in your life? Just one thing I'm proud of this in my life. Write that down. Proud of this. Next thing, we waste a lot of time in our lives, don't we? Minutes are precious. Days are precious. I'm 46 years old now. And all of a sudden you start thinking a little bit more about your mortality. You start thinking about your effectiveness. How long will your physical health stay so you can be the most effective? You know, because 10 years from now I'll be 56. 15 years from now I'll be 61. And slowly you start to diminish. And so right now they say I'm in the prime, near the end of the prime of my life, but I feel good, I feel strong, I feel fast, I feel like I'm ready to go. I'm just excited about Jesus, I've always been. But what is something in my life that if I got rid of it, I wouldn't miss it really at all? It's not bad, good, it's not sin, it's not evil. Just something that if I got rid of it, I wouldn't miss it at all. What's that? It really doesn't benefit you at all. Coffee, he says. All those of us guilty say aye. Aye. All right. I'm going to tell you about coffee in a few minutes. Now, here's one thing. One thing in your life. If you lost this thing in your life, you'd suffer for it. What is this thing? I did this with our church leadership, and they said, Pastor, if we lose the passion for the lost in our church, we'll suffer. We'll suffer. What in your personal life? Boy, if I lost that right now, I'd suffer. Can't afford to let that go. Might be your prayer life, your study life, your desire to serve God, your desire to serve in the church. Something in your life, boy, that's really good. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. I'll give you the outline of Moses. Some say Moses was a great leader. Others say he wasn't that great a leader because he couldn't bring the people into the promised land. I don't hold to that too well. I think you have 1.5 million rebellious people. That's pretty tough. But Moses is outlined 4 points real quick. First thing Moses always did is he asked God. Problem came up. Let me ask God. Hold on. Time out. There's a guy in Numbers 15. Numbers 15, God says you shall keep the Sabbath day holy. Guy in number 15 goes out and he just, poor old guy, it's Sabbath day. He's going to get some wood. It's cold. He goes outside and picks up some wood outside the camp. And they catch him. And they drag him to Moses. They said, Moses, this guy's picking up wood on the Sabbath. What do we do? He said, I don't know. Let me ask God. Hold on. God, what do we do? Really? Kill him. As an example, nobody works on the Sabbath. Kill him. He's sort of the Old Testament version of Ananias and Sapphira in Acts 5. You know, the first one's the lie. You know the story? Yeah. Spell Acts. First thing Moses did is ask God. Second thing Moses did, he told the people what God said. Pretty simple outline. Let me ask God. Tell him what he said. Third thing about Moses. Only 4 points. Third thing. Moses was open to counsel. He's sitting on a rock from the time the sun rose up to the time the sun went down. Sat on a rock, and 1.5 million people lined up every day to tell him stuff. Ask him questions. And Jethro, his father-in-law, comes over and looks at him and says, Mo, what are you doing? You can't sit there all day like that. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear the people out. Why don't you get 70 men like you who can take the easier cases? You take all the tougher cases. He said, geez, I never thought of that. He listened to counsel. Now you have to discern when to listen and when not to listen. I can tell you as a pastor, everybody wants to tell me how to run the church. Everybody. And I have the most diverse church. It looks like you guys right now. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Filipino, some I don't know what they are. I got everything coming to the church. And everybody has an opinion on how the church should run. And I listen, and I take in the things that I think I can use, and I get rid of the stuff that I don't. So listening to wise counsel, the fourth thing Moses did as a leader. He tried new things. Try something new. Try something creative. Read a book. Listen to that tape. Ask advice from an older man. Ask somebody who's successful how they did it. Now, ultimately, you can't wear Saul's armor. David couldn't wear Saul's armor. He went into the battle and he tried to put it on. He said, I can't wear this stuff. So he still had to do it his way, but at least he did it. So, hear from God, lead your family, be open to counsel, and try something new. Be creative. Do something different that works. Go ahead, step out. Don't say, if Ida, someday I'll get around to it. Just do it later. All right? If you look at the divorce rate, why is the divorce rate so high? I'll tell you why the divorce rate is so high. Marriages are set up to fail. How do two people, one male, one female, who think completely different, have totally different desires and ideas, how do they make life work together in a home? It's impossible. It can't be done. Marriages are set up to fail. It's just a matter of time before they fail. Unless you're both submitted to the Holy Spirit. I mean, I talk to people I grew up with in high school, and I mean, almost across the board. Oh, yeah, so-and-so, yeah, they got divorced. Oh, yeah, so-and-so, they got divorced. Why? Because marriage is tough. I mean, boy, we were selfish, we're opinionated, we're controlling, we got attitude. We're going to make them pay back. And it's only in the Spirit of God are we even able to be close to making it. And atheists whose marriages have made it don't realize it, but they're applying biblical principles.